it is my pleasure to bring you a very special guest, Vernon from Fort Worth, Texas. He's a single father, currently living with 3 of his amazing children. He's an advocate for his community and has spent 21 years preaching in his hometown. Today isn't Sunday school, but I have a feeling we're going to get more than a few words about an amazing life story, lived experiences, and what matters to Mr. Vernon. So welcome, Vernon, to the Fireside Chat. I'm glad you're here with us.
Thank you, sir.
I'm curious. I've never been to Fort Worth, Texas. So for anyone who has never been to Fort Worth, what is it like? Why do you have so much passion for your community?
Well, I was born and raised here in Fort Worth. Fort Worth probably is like any other city, but what makes us different in Fort Worth, we try to come together, to do what's best for the kids within our Fort Worth area, our Fort Worth schools. Each and every day to us is about building. It's about saying, how can we get better? How can we improve to make our community a more safer place, a better pathway for economic development for the next foundation, the next generation. If we don't have a community that can stand together and come together, and then we would not have a community at all. So I'm passionate about it because it's why I was born and raised there, and I'm able to do what I do because of who we are in Fort Worth. I go out, I volunteer. I probably do an average of 40 hours a week just volunteering. This morning I've been going to 3 different schools. I was at Eastern Hill High School, then I left there. I went to Meadowbrook Middle School, then I left there. Then I went to Parapete Elementary, and then I went to Morningside Middle School. So I already visited 4 schools this morning before 11 o'clock.
That's a busy morning. That's a busy itinerary. So what do you currently do?
I'm disabled. I sit on the, I'm a volunteer for the Fort Worth School District. I sit on the board that's called SHAC. It's the School Health Advisory Council. And what we do right now, we are in the midst of trying to get human and trafficking up in the school, talk to our kids about it, and also talk about sex, awarding the health and sex and PE. So I sit on that board, but I took mine a little bit farther. I just didn't want to meet once a month. So I go to my schools. I oversee 3 pyramids in Fort Worth. I oversee the Poly Pyramid, the Eastern Hill Pyramid, and the ODY Pyramid. And within them pyramids, there are roughly about 30-some schools. My goal is to go into my school, make myself aware to the staff who I am, because I am a volunteer. I'm not getting paid. I am the only Fort Worth ISD volunteer that have an ID badge, just like a teacher have, just like a principal or administrator have. To do that, because I volunteer. I don't just sit on the bench. I believe if you're gonna be a part of something, don't let it just be by sitting at a meeting once a month on paper. Get involved. Kids need us to get involved. If we don't get involved in the program and what you're doing, then we're not doing what we are charged to do. So I do a lot of community volunteer. Not only do I volunteer in my school district, I volunteer at the YMCA in Fort Worth. Then I have a program called Youth and Family Community Outreach. And it's a program where we do stuff in the community. We try to help get school closed. We try to help get food for families that need food, who is in a bad way. So this is different stuff that I do, and it's without pay. I live off of disability, me and my 3 kids, and it's a struggle, but God is still in the blessing business.
Vernon, can we go back to your volunteering at the schools? And first, I commend you for all that you're doing there in your community. What are you seeing as the biggest issue impacting the 30-some schools in your community, the kids in those schools?
Family, broken homes, single parents, kids that don't want to come to school because they don't have adequate clothes to come to school. So they don't want to come. So my thing is to try to encourage them to the point where I accept what you got right now and let us help you get a little bit more down the road. because we do have, we wear uniforms here in 405SD. And just yesterday, I received a call back from a family in 405SD, and the lady thought I forgot about her, because her kids couldn't go to school Monday because they didn't have uniform. So when she reached out to me on Monday, I told her I would get back with her. She sent me a text yesterday and said, okay, well, thank you. I guess you forgot. So I had to ensure her, hey, I haven't forgot about you. I'm waiting on a pastor to come through with the fund so we can go get you some uniform for your kids, which it did happen yesterday. And that's what we get. We have a lot of young single parents who, for some reason, some of them is in training, some of them not trying to work or whatever. I don't know the case may be, but my goal, my thing is, I'm here to do what I can to help them, because at the end of the day, it's about the kids. It's about the kids. What we can do best for the kids, keep them in school. And Fort Worth, our school district here in Fort Worth, being the 13th largest city in Texas, in the state, we have the lowest number of school turnout. We have a high number of dropouts, and that started in the middle school sector. We have more kids dropping out of school in middle school than high school. And so now we trying to get a handle of that and change that. And I'm thankful that I'm able to volunteer to do that, to help change. So that's what I see in our school district, in my 30-something school, but not only just mine, but in the other pyramid schools. We have 13 pyramids.
If you could start in one place to kind of change that, where would that place be?
Parent training. A lot of the parents is lacking GEDs or high school diplomas and stuff. And I do believe that that's where it starts with. Training parents to get their GEDs and then try to help them take up some form of trade, a volunteer trade that they don't have to pay for. I think that's the main issue. If we can get the parents trained and get them the tools that they need, then that tool would feed off on growth for their children that want to be able to stay in school.
I love the one part that you said there about training that they don't have to pay for.
Right.
In your opinion, why is that so important, that it's training that they don't have to pay for?
Well, because my mom, it was 8 of us, and my mom actually just got her GED at 72. So it's very important to me, because I see a lot of the young mothers say, well, I want to do better, but I can't afford to pay for a GED class. I got a GED, but I want to go to trade, but I can't get the money to go to take the trade. And so therefore, I'm having to take a job that's paying way less, and I'm barely making ends meet. And trust me, I do understand what they're talking about. I'm a graduate and everything, and I live off very few funds. I live off probably, me and my 3 kids live off probably less than $1,000 a month. But it's just all about God's grace. And so a lot of the parents want to do better. They just don't know how to do better, because the help for its financial help is not there. And what's there is in the wrong place.
Well, I'm glad there are people in your community like you who are understanding that there is a need to do more and to train more and to share more and to be a resource. So thank you for what you're doing in your community. And actually, your community recently thanked you, right? You were just honored.
Yeah.
Yeah. Share that, please.
Yeah, on yesterday, well, a month ago, my city council, Chris Nevels, who a young man that I actually coached in Pee Wee football some years back. Now he's the city councilor for District 8 in the neighborhood I stay in. He wanted to be able to recognize me, and on the behalf of the city of Fort Worth and city council and our mayor, Matthew Parker, they did that on yesterday at 6 o'clock at City Hall. Gave me a real nice plaque right here. I don't know if you can really see it, but they presented this to me on yesterday for community service of 39 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yes, sir.
Have you already picked out a place in a wall that's going to hang?
Uh, well, my pastor told me to hang it down at the church in my office. But I'm going to make a copy and hang that at the church. And I'm going to present this to my mom.
That's awesome. The
Yeah.
72-year-old mom with the GED.
Yeah, I'm going to present it to her.
Let's go ahead and shift gears to when you were growing up. Can you talk to us a little bit about your childhood in the Fort Worth area?
Well, I grew up in Fort Worth. Like I said, I grew up with my 5 sisters and my 2 brothers, my stepfather. It wasn't always good. We struggled. We lived on what you call it, food stamps and all of that during that time, to try to make ends meet. But we grew up in a loving environment. My mom made sure, my stepfather made sure that we had everything. We went to school, graduated. We didn't have the best of things that other kids had, but we had something that a lot of kids didn't have, LOVE, love. And that was the most important thing. We inherited the name while we were growing up. We were called the church kids because we went to church on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We was off on Thursday and Friday and back on Saturdays. So everybody called my mama kids the church kids because we was always in church. And I thank God for that. Growing up, I had people in my pathway that helped guide me, to shape me to the person that I am today. Without them, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I still have all my siblings are still living, and we are all really in education. I got married when I was 16, being hard-headed, but thank God that things worked out better than what I thought. So it's not an easy pathway to be a teenager growing up in Fort Worth back in the 60s and the 70s, but we made it.
Let's talk about what were some of the challenges of being married young and growing up in Fort Worth and trying to become an adult and take care of a family.
Oh man, it was trying to stay in school, work, and then end up having my first child while I was in school in 1979. It was tough. Man, it was greatly tough. But me and my first wife, we made it with the help of my mom, my grandmother, and her mom. We lived with her mom, and then my 6th grade teacher. I think my biggest challenge was not being able to see if I could make it. And that's what my scary point was, because I did not want to fail my child or not be there because I was young. But I did. My biggest support outside of my family were my 6th grade teacher. He made sure that if I needed some help, it was there in place along with his wife. And it was so funny because they wasn't African Americans. They was another race, and they didn't see race. They seen me for who I was.
Is this Mr. Witt?
Mr. Witt.
Mr. Witt, your 6th grade teacher. How did he have such a presence in your life or an impact on your life at an early age?
Well, he was my 6th grade science teacher. I got into a fight in the classroom, and he pulled out his board and told me and the guy that was fighting he was going to give us 3 licks. And I told the man, you ain't fit to hit me. And from that development, we grew. And next thing I know, he was telling me, have your mom to give me a telephone call. I want to see would she let you come and spend the weekend at my house with my son and my wife and family. And my mom did. And that weekend turned into every weekend, turned into summer. It grew into a relationship with somebody that I did not even know, no more than meeting him in my 6th grade year in school. It grew into a relationship, a second father.
That's amazing that you had someone in your community that would reach out to you and have that kind of impact on you. And what I read about your story, you're trying to do that same thing now to other youth in the Fort Worth area, mentoring them and being that leader. Can you share a little bit more about what you're doing there?
Yeah, well, I started a program called Youth and Family Community Outreach in 1995. I was young at that time too. And what I try to do is get the young folks in our community that is lost, to steer them away from the gang members, away from the drug activity by providing programs for them that don't cost them no money. I don't have a building. Uh, I move around and in different areas of the community. So right now we teach life skills, we teach character development, we teach kids how to public speak. We also have one we just came out with called Christian Helping Teen Moms, because we have so many young ladies who have babies and stuff and don't have that role model to be able to help guide them. So my program reaches and teaches. I have football teams, I have basketball teams, and the only way that program can be successful for the kid, I have to go out and ask for, hey, will you sponsor a team or will you sponsor a child so we can get some uniform? We do good some years we don't get sponsored. So we have to table what we got to, if we get 5 or 6 teams, we might have one team uh, in order to be able to keep the kids going. We are part of the Junior NBA League for the last 2 years. So I try to maintain at least one team in that to help guide the kids. Because here in Fort Worth, our biggest problem in my neighborhood, and I still live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in, is that nobody don't want to support these kids in this neighborhood. They would rather support them when they are in trouble, going to jail or going to juvenile. But if we can support them now, we can keep them away from going to jail and being put in the system. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep them from getting put into the system by giving them some character building, some developmental skills that they need, not that they want, but what they need that will carry them over into life when they become a young adult and an adult and be able to have their own families.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Can you share maybe an interaction with some of the youth that may be a little bit resistant to you coming in and trying to help and trying to teach?
Yeah, I think when I come in and try to teach and talk to a youth, even in the schools or in the neighborhood, it's how you dress and how you approach them. I have a lot of pastors here in Fort Worth tell me all the time, you don't dress like us. You know, when you go into the neighborhood, you got some t-shirts and short pants and tennis shoes on, and you need to dress in a suit. And I tell them the only way we're gonna reach these kids, we got to take the suit and tie off. And we got to go to the neighborhood just as the kids are in the neighborhood in some short pants and a t-shirt, and sit down and talk with them. You got to laugh with them. You know, I might walk up to a basketball court. I'm 62 years old. I might walk up to a basketball court and see kids playing basketball, and I always have this line for them: "Hey, can an old man learn from y'all? Teach me how to play basketball." And you know, they start laughing. First thing they say, "Oh man, you already know how to play basketball." I said, "No, show me how to shoot." You know, and then next thing you know, we talking about something that they probably wouldn't even talk to nobody. You got to come down to their level in order to reach them. Because if you still stand up there in the adult level, you won't never reach their kids. That they continue to be lost because they're not going to listen to you on the adult level. But they will listen to you if you get in the trenches with them, you get involved with them, do what they like to do. This is why I have sports programs and stuff, because kids love to play sports. So if you get in there with them and get them the sports that they need, and then guess what? They're going to listen to you. Cause I walked into a school right now, and this school year just started on Monday, and these kids already know me from last year, from the year before that. And the first thing they say, I got to get to class because there go coach. I tell them, don't call me mister, don't call me pastor, call me coach. And that's what they said. There go coach, I got to get to class. And some of a lot of the kids in the school, they call me Paw Paw. And a lot of people ask me, them your grandkids? No, they ain't my grandkids, but that's what the school called me, especially at Morningside Middle School. Pretty much every kid at Morningside, no matter what color they are, on pawpaw.
I do know somewhere online there has to be a video of you breaking somebody's ankles on the basketball court or showing your jump shot somewhere.
Well, if you find it, then you let me know.
Vernon, I'd like to shift to you saying I read recently that you love having conversations. It's obviously you love having conversation with kids in your community, kids at the school and leaders at the school, but also leaders with the city government. Can you tell me more about these meetings, these conversations that you're having?
Yeah, I talk to a lot of the city government, from city councils to state representatives to U.S. senators. I try to share with them things that I believe that we need in our community. And let me expand when I say community. I'm not just talking about the community right here in Fort Worth. I'm talking about the community in other cities too, because what affect one community also affect the next community. And I trying to get our city councilor and our state representative, Nicole Collins and Ramos Ramirez, who's a very good friend of mine, to help change some things at the state level to improve what we can do for our community that will help our kids, but not only just help our kids, but also help our community as a whole. We changed the thing in our community. Thank God that the kids don't have to pay to go into the city gyms. It used to be they had to pay $20 a year. And I was telling them, if you got a mama got 3 or 4 young men that want to go to the gym and play basketball, and she can't pay $20 a year for each one of them kids, and then they out there doing what they do, getting in trouble, vandalism, writing graffiti up on the buildings and stuff. But if you take that away and make it free for a kid from 17 and under, and then you can change things. So here in the city of Fort Worth, our city council, our city parks department, they changed that. The kids don't have to pay no more to go into the city gym. They get a free ID, and that free ID is good until they turn 18 years of age.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's great. How easy was it to get plugged in to knowing what was going on in your local government?
Well, for me, it was easy because I've been following local government all the way back when I was 13 years old, and I first worked and volunteered for Leonard Briscoe, who ran for District 32A in 1972 as a state representative. And I was guided and taught about local government through him and through Roy Brooks, Jim James Bath, all of them who was in politics at the time. I worked for them and volunteered on their campaign. So I learned the ins and outs through people like that, especially I think more so from one of our mayors here, which she's a United States Congress now, which was Kay Ranger. I really appreciated what she did here in Fort Worth. She stayed in the trenches in our African American neighborhood a whole lot, helped develop different programs and stuff. So that opened up the doors where I'm able to talk to people, go out and communicate with them and show them what needs to be done and what we can do to improve upon building a better community.
I love that. I'm curious, since you have found a seat at the table, what do you think would take to have more members of the community involved and have similar seats at the table?
Coming together, more community meetings, more community forums, not only from the city level, but from the state level, even the national level. I like here in Fort Worth, we do have, our city council, they leave the city council chamber meeting, and we set meetings up in different neighborhoods where everybody can come out and voice their opinion and express. But in order to get more people involved in the community, our state leaders, our national leaders, they got to come together and open up the platform and say, hey, let's listen to the peoples. Let's see what the peoples want us to do to help better this area. Because once you run for office, you forget about the neighborhood that you're running for, who put you in office. You forget about what you said you were going to do because it becomes more a financial goal for you and then a help tool that you set. We need more help tool in office. We need more leaders that came back in the 70s and the 80s and stuff who cared about the community and not cared about their pockets.
I love that. Very, very well said. You first connected with UpTogether during the UpTogether Morningside Fund, where you received investments over a period of time. Can you share anything that you remember from that experience, and maybe even what you used the investments for?
Yes, sir. I'd be more than happy because, and like I told them before when they interviewed me, my daughter went to Morningside Elementary, which my other kids did too. And Mr. Urain, who overseen that program through the Morningside Elementary, put my name in, and I was approved. And at that time, the benefit was like $250 a month. But if I didn't have that $250 at that time, man, I don't know where me and my kids would have been. I live off SSI, which I get $914 a month, and you're trying to live off $914 a month with 3 kids and paying bills. It was tough, but when that came along, I was able to take that $250 a month and get clothes for my kids, you know, and buy other household stuff that we needed, and I appreciate that program, and I appreciate the individuals who put that program together here in the Fort Worth area. I see that the program also runs in other cities and stuff in Texas, and it's a much needed program. And I'm grateful to be a part of that program. As of today, you know, the money I get today, me and my kids, when we get it, that's our month of going out to eat. You know, we set aside, okay, when we get this, we're gonna be able to go out to eat. And we get stuff what we need for the house. We get clothes and stuff that they need and stuff. So the UpTogether program was a blessing for me. I'm grateful for it. I thank God for it. And I just hope that more programs such as this right, the UpTogether program will continue and not only be a blessing to me, but also be a blessing to others that are in need.
Well, Vernon, I am grateful that you decided to share your story with us, a little bit of your story with us. And just because it's very easy to focus on some of the negative narratives and stereotypes that get placed on our communities. You mentioned some of the challenges that your Fort Worth community has. Let's maybe flip the script and talk about why communities like yours in Fort Worth should be invested in.
Woo! I believe we should be invested. My neighborhood and Fort Worth community should be invested in because the need is there. And the people that you invest in appreciate it. We need more people to invest in our community to help change our community. You know, in our community, and I don't know if you ever been to Fort Worth, if you ever walked Fort Worth, but if you ever come to Fort Worth and you want a tour, I'll be more than happy to give you a tour. We have more motels and liquor stores in our community than we have businesses that can provide economic development and job growth. And so people gravitate to that right there. But if companies and nonprofits such as y'all invest in the community, you're not only invested in the community, you're invested in the people. You're giving them an opportunity, you give them a chance. You know, some of my biggest problems that I have is that I pick up a lot of kids. I don't have a van. I have my SUV. I pick up more kids in my SUV than the law allow me to, because a lot of kids want to be able to go to church. A lot of kids want to be able to go here. The family don't have cars to do that. So with that being said, if we get people to come in and provide adequate transportation to people such as me, van service, where we can pick up the, even with our single citizens, Just for y'all, this came on, I had a lady call me named Sister Evan. She needed my help. And so when I finish this, I'll go do that. But we have senior citizens who need to go to the store, and you see them standing on the bus stop for about an hour and 30 minutes, waiting on the bus to catch one bus to another bus to another bus. We need to find avenues where people can call organizations and say, hey, I need help today. I need to go to the doctor, but I can't pay Uber, I can't pay Lyft. So they go out there on that bus stop, and it's not fair, it's not right. And my long-term goal is to one day is to have a 15-passenger van. And when somebody calls and say, I need to go here, I can run. If somebody called me and say, I got this person want to go here, I can go. So that's why it's so important to invest in the city of Fort Worth and into our communities. Because we want to grow. We want to help. There's people that need help. And the only way they're going to get that help is through companies and nonprofits such as you are.
Thank you. Thank you, Vernon, for your perspective, your input. Thank you for sharing your story, your experiences with us. It's safe to say we had a good time.
Yes, sir. We did. A blessed time.
Thank you. Thank you again for being our guest for the Fireside Chat, Vernon. Really appreciate it.
Sir. All right. Y'all have a blessed one.